Have you ever felt like you're speaking a different language than other fantasy writers? Well, there is a reason for that. After more than 2 decades of crafting worlds, weaving myths, and bringing characters to life, I've discovered that fantasy writers aren't all cut from the same cloth. In fact, I've identified 5 distinct types of fantasy authors, each with their own unique strengths and challenges. In this video, I'll reveal these 5 types and how to identify yours. I'll show you ways to harness your type's superpowers for maximum impact and how to overcome challenges unique to your writer's type. So are you ready to decode your fantasy writer DNA? Then prepare to see your writing and yourself in a whole new light. Now, imagine a world where 5 adventurers set out on a perilous quest. There's Mina, the cartographer, obsessed with mapping every inch of the realm. Then there's Luke, who can't help but strike up a conversation with every tavern regular and forest creature. Zoe carries a tomb filled with intricate plots and schemes. Liz's backpack overflows with ancient scrolls and myth. And finally, there's Kai, whose fingers constantly spark with barely contained magical energy. These aren't just random adventurers, they represent the 5 types of fantasy writers I'll introduce you to today. As I share more about each type, you'll see how their unique approaches shape not just their writing, but the very essence of their storytelling. Now, our band of heroes has been tasked with retrieving the legendary Pen of Creation, a mythical artifact set to bring any story to life. Each of them believes their particular skills are crucial to the success of the mission. Picture Mina hunched over a massive map, quill in hand, eyes gleaming with excitement as she adds yet another mountain range to her already crowded parchment. This is the epitome of the world builder. World builders are the architects of entire universes. They don't just write stories, they create entire civilizations, complete with their own histories, languages, and political systems. For them, the world is equally, if not even more important than the stories it holds. World builders are characterized by their obsession with geography, languages, and political or magical systems. They can spend hours crafting detailed maps and timelines, and they're often able to tell you the entire 1,000-year history of a fictional empire, but might struggle to name their protagonist. The superpower of a world builder lies in their ability to create rich, immersive worlds that feel real. They excel at consistent world building that enhances plot and character development. Often they produce supplementary materials that fans absolutely love. Think of the appendices in The Lord of the Rings or the extensive wizarding world lore created by J.K. Rowling. However, this strength can also be their greatest challenge. World builders may get so lost in the intricacies of their creation that they struggle to start the actual story. There's also the risk of info dumping, overwhelming readers with excessive details about the world's history, geography, or political structure. Sometimes world builders even prioritize world consistency over character development or plot progression. If this is you, then fear not, because there are ways to level up your craft. First, try setting a world building limit before starting your draft. This can help you avoid getting stuck in the creation phase and push you to actually write your story. Next, create a Bible for your world, but be selective about what makes it into the actual story. Remember, your readers don't need to know every detail of your world's 1,000-year history to enjoy the tale you're telling. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, use your world to create conflict and drive the plot, not just as window dressing. Your beautifully crafted setting should be an integral part of the story, influencing character decisions and plot developments. In our adventuring party, Mina's detailed maps might be fascinating, but without a compelling reason to explore that newly added mountain range, they're just pretty pictures. For example, perhaps that mountain range that Mina just added is home to a reclusive tribe crucial to the quest's success. Or maybe it's a recently formed barrier created by a cataclysmic magical event that the party must find a way around. Remember, the goal isn't to showcase every aspect of your world, but to use your deep understanding of it to create a believable, immersive experience for your readers. Let your world breathe life into your story, not overshadow it. Now from here, let's turn our attention to Luke, who's currently deep in conversation with a talking tree, completely oblivious of the fact that the rest of the party has moved on. This, my friend, is your typical character-driven author in action. For these writers, characters aren't just part of the story, they are the story. Every plot point, every conflict, every triumph revolves around the growth and development of their beautifully crafted personalities. Character-driven authors are known for their strong focus on character arcs, emotional depth, and personal conflicts. They create complex, multifaceted characters with rich inner lives, often starting with detailed character sketches before even thinking about plot. The superpower of a character-driven author lies in their ability to craft memorable, relatable characters that readers fall in love with. They excel at creating emotional resonance and deep reader investment. These are the authors whose characters stay with you long after you've finished the book, the ones who make you laugh, cry, and feel as if you've lost a friend when the story ends. Character-driven authors are naturally good at dialogue and interpersonal dynamics. They can make a simple conversation between two characters as riveting as any action scene. Think of the complex, flawed characters in George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series, or the intricately crafted personalities throughout Patrick Rothfuss's The Kingkillers Chronicle. However, this character-centric approach comes with its own set of challenges. Character-driven authors may struggle with plot progression if they're too focused on character moments. There's a risk of creating talking heads, scenes full of introspection and dialogue, but little action. Sometimes these authors can become so engrossed in character development that they neglect world building as well. But don't worry, as a character-driven author, there are ways to strengthen your approach as well. First, try using your character's goals or flaws to drive your plot forward. A character's desire for revenge, for example, can be the driving force behind major plot events. Next, strive to balance internal conflicts with external challenges. While it's great to explore a character's inner turmoil, make sure there also are external obstacles for them to overcome. And finally, ensure that character growth is tied to meaningful plot events. Character development shouldn't happen in a vacuum. It should be a result of the challenges and experiences your characters face throughout the story. In our adventuring party, Luke's ability to connect with every character he meets is admirable, but without a driving force pushing the quest forward, our party might never ever leave that first tavern. So the secret is to make your character's personal journeys integral to the larger narrative. For instance, perhaps Luke's conversation with the talking tree reveals a personal fear of heights, which becomes crucial when the party needs to scale a cliff to reach the Pen of Creation. Or maybe his ability to forge connections becomes the key to uniting warring factions whose cooperation is necessary for the quest's success. Remember, the goal isn't just to create likable or interesting characters, but to weave their journeys into the fabric of your larger story. Let your characters drive the plot, not just populate it. Having said that, let's move on and catch up with Zoe. She's the one furiously scribbling in her notebook, muttering about rising action and plot twists. And this means I have to welcome you to the world of the plot architect. These writers are the master strategists of the storytelling world. They craft intricate plots with more twists and turns than a labyrinth designed by a particularly mischievous minotaur. For them, this story is a complex machine, and they are the engineers making sure every cog fits perfectly. Plot architects are characterized by their love for creating detailed outlines and story structures. They focus intensely on pacing, tension, and narrative flow. These are the writers who often plan major plot twists well in advance, sometimes even before they fleshed out their characters or world. The superpower of a plot architect lies in the ability to craft engaging, page-turning narratives. They excel at creating satisfying story arcs and resolutions, often leaving readers gasping at unexpected yet perfectly set up plot twists. Plot architects are skilled at maintaining tension and reader interest throughout the story, knowing exactly when to reveal key information for maximum impact. Think of the intricate multi-layered plots in Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series, or the masterfully orchestrated political machinations in Frank Herbert's Dune. These are the works of master plot architects, where every detail serves a purpose and every reveal is meticulously timed. However, this focus on plot intricacy can sometimes lead to challenges. Plot architects may struggle with character depth if they're too focused on plot mechanics. There's also a risk of creating plots that feel contrived or overly complex, losing readers in a maze of twists and turns. Sometimes plot architects can even sacrifice character agency for the sake of plot progression, leading to characters who feel like pawns rather than active participants in the story. But don't despair if you are a plot architect. There are ways to refine your approach as well, of course. First, strive to ensure your plot twists arise organically from character decisions and world events. A twist should feel both surprising and inevitable, unexpected in the moment, but perfectly logical in hindsight. Next, work on balancing plot complexity with character development. Remember that the most satisfying plot developments are often those that also reveal or change something about the characters involved. And finally, use your outlining skills to plan character arcs alongside plot points. This can help ensure that your characters grow and change along with the unfolding plot, rather than simply being swept along by it. In our adventuring party, Zoe is always nose deep in her platoon, planning the next exciting development in their quest. While her ability to craft a thrilling sequence of events is invaluable, she needs to make sure our other adventurers have room to influence the story. For example, perhaps Zoe has planned a daring heist to retrieve the Pen of Creation, but Luke's unexpected friendship with a guard forces a change of plans. Or maybe Mina's knowledge of a secret mountain path creates a shortcut Zoe hadn't anticipated. By allowing room for character decisions and world elements to influence the plot, you create a story that feels both exciting and authentic. Now, if you found anything useful in the video so far, please consider giving it a like to help me grow the channel. Thank you. Moving on, as we continue our journey, we find Liz, lost in thought as she connects the stars above to ancient legends. This is the Myth Weaver in their natural habitat. Myth Weavers are the bards of the fantasy writing world. They draw inspiration from myths, legends, and folklore, weaving these timeless elements into new tapestries of wonder. For them, stories are not just entertainment, but vessels of deeper truths and universal human experiences. Myth Weavers are characterized by their deep knowledge of mythology and folklore from various cultures. They love to incorporate symbolic and archetypical elements into their stories, often including gods, mythical creatures, and legendary heroes. These are the writers who see the hero's journey in every story and find profound meaning in the simplest of tales. The superpower of a Myth Weaver lies in the ability to create stories with a sense of timelessness and deeper meaning. They excel at tapping into universal themes and the collective unconsciousness, crafting tales that resonate on a primal level. Think of the vast, intricate universe and profound philosophical underpinnings of Frank Herbert's Dune series, or the meticulously crafted mythology and languages in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion and The Lord of the Rings. These works don't just tell stories, they feel like myths in the making, tapping into something ancient and universal in the human psyche. However, this mythic approach can come with its own challenges. Mythweavers may sometimes rely too heavily on established mythological structures, risking to create stories that feel derivative or predictable. There's also a danger of prioritizing symbolism and mythic resonance over plot or character development, creating beautiful but static tableaus rather than dynamic narratives. But fear not if that is you. There are ways to enhance your mythic storytelling. First, while drawing inspiration from mythology, strive to subvert expectations. Use familiar mythic elements in new and surprising ways. Next, work on blending mythical elements with original ideas to create something truly unique. Don't just retell old myths. Use them as a foundation to build something new and exciting. And finally, ensure your use of mythology serves the story and characters, not vice versa. In our adventuring party, Liz's connection to ancient lore is a powerful tool, but she needs to remember that our adventurers are forging their own legend. Perhaps she recognizes elements of their quest in an ancient prophecy, but the way it unfolds is entirely unexpected. Or maybe she uses her knowledge of mythic patterns to guide the party, only to find that the true solution lies in breaking those very patterns. For example, Liz might realize that their quest for the Pen of Creation mirrors an ancient myth about a hero's journey to the underworld. But instead of following the myth's pattern of sacrifice and return, the party finds a way to subvert the traditional ending, creating a new myth in the process. Remember, the key is to use mythical elements as a foundation to build something new and exciting, not as a rigid template to follow. Leaving the tales of myths behind us, finally we come to Kai, whose eyes are alight with arcane energy as he attempts to explain, for the third time, why he cannot just magically teleport the party to their destination. This is your quintessential magic system enthusiast. These writers see magic not just as a plot device, but as a fundamental force of their universe that needs to be understood, categorized, and regulated. For them, creating a magic system is akin to developing a new branch of physics. It needs to be logical, consistent, and full of exciting possibilities. Magic system enthusiasts are characterized by the creation of detailed and logical magic systems with strict rules and limitations. They focus intensely on the consequences and implications of magic use, often incorporating magical theory or science into their world building. These are the writers who can explain exactly why a wizard can't simply conjure food out of thin air, or why teleportation spells are limited to certain distances. The superpower of a magic system enthusiast lies in their ability to craft unique and memorable magic systems that stand out in the crowded fantasy genre. They excel at using magic as a source of conflict and plot development, creating problems that can't be solved by simply waving a wand. Magic system enthusiasts are skilled at creating consistent internal logic that enhances the credibility of their stories, making even the most fantastic elements feel grounded and real. Think of the intricate Allomancy in Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series, or the well-defined rules of magic in Patrick Rothfuss's The Name of the Wind. These systems feel almost scientific in their precision, adding depth and complexity to their respective worlds. However, this focus on magical mechanics can sometimes lead to challenges. Magic system enthusiasts may get bogged down in explaining magical theory, risking reader boredom or confusion. There's also a danger of creating systems so complex they alienate readers who are more interested in story than magical physics. Sometimes then, the drive for magical consistency can also limit narrative flexibility, constraining the story to fit the system rather than the other way around. There are of course also ways to refine your approach. First and foremost, remember that magic should serve the story, not vice versa. Your magic systems should create opportunities for conflict and character development, not just showcase your world-building skills. Next, embrace the iceberg principle. Know your system in depth, but only show your readers what's necessary for the story. You might have pages of notes on how your magic works, but your readers only need to understand the parts that directly affect the plot. And finally, explore the societal and personal implications of your magic system, not just its mechanics. How does the existence of magic change your world? How does it affect the lives of both magical and non-magical characters? In our adventuring party, Kai's enthusiasm for the arcane is admirable, but if he spent as much time moving forward as he did explaining why he can't teleport, our quest would be over by now. The secret is to make your magic system a tool for storytelling, not the story itself. For example, perhaps Kai's understanding of magical theory allows him to recognize a flaw in an ancient protective spell, creating an opportunity for the party to reach the Pen of Creation. Or maybe the limitations of his magic force the group to find creative non-magical solutions to problems, highlighting the strengths of the other party members. Remember here, the goal isn't to create the most complex or unique magic system possible, but to craft a system that enhances your story and captivates your readers. Let your magic be a source of wonder and conflict, driving your plot forward and deepening your world. So let's get back to our band of adventurers here. Eventually, Mina, Luke, Zoe, Liz, and Kai succeed in their quest, finally reaching their destination. And as they pass the Pen of Creation from one hand to another, they realize something profound. It wasn't their individual skills that got them there, but how they combined their unique strengths to overcome challenges. Mina's detailed maps guided them through treacherous terrain, while Luke's ability to connect with others helped them navigate complex social situations. Zoe's carefully planned strategies kept them on track, while Liz's knowledge of myths helped them decipher ancient clues. And finally, Kai's understanding of magic allowed them to overcome all the supernatural obstacles. The same is true for you as an individual fantasy writer. Whether you're mapping new worlds, breathing life into characters, plotting intricate storylines, weaving mythic tales, or crafting arcane systems, your particular approach is your strength. But here's the real magic: you don't have to be just one type. The most captivating fantasy stories often come from writers who can blend these approaches, creating worlds that are as richly detailed as they are character-driven, with plots as twisting as they are mythically resonant, all underpinned by fascinating magical systems. So which type of fantasy writer are you? Perhaps you're primarily a world builder with a dash of magic system enthusiasm, or perhaps you're a character-driven author who loves to sprinkle in some myth. Whatever your combination, embrace it. Lean into your strength, work on your challenges, and remember, there is no one right way to write fantasy. Your unique voice, your particular blend of these types, is what will make your stories stand out in the vast realm of fantasy literature. And to help you on that journey even more, make sure to watch this video here next, where I share insights from 25 years of fantasy writing, so you can learn from my experiences and avoid my mistakes.